When I opened my eyes to life, the first thing I saw was the whiteness of the snow, and the first sound I heard was the wind howling. I was so exhausted from the struggle to hatch that for a moment I thought, I wish I had stayed inside a little longer, but it was too late. I had already met the brutal cold of Antarctica. My father was like a statue to me for 2 months, not eating, not drinking, not moving. All he did was keep me warm and occasionally look up at the sky and sigh, "Why am I freezing here?" Now when he saw me, there was relief in his eyes. It was like, oh, finally, because now it was Mom's turn, and Daddy could go on his long-delayed fishing adventure. I was just a 3-day-old baby, and there were thousands of penguins around me that looked just like me. Some were newborns like me, some were a little older, some were adults. They all suffered from the same problem, the cold. The freezing cold of Antarctica penetrated my bones, and the wind through my feathers turned me into an ice sculpture. For the first few weeks, all I could do was huddle with the other chicks, and try to keep warm. This penguin community was called a nursery, but if you ask me, it was more like a survival camp. The outermost ones were cold, the inner ones were sweating, and everyone took turns moving. Sometimes we were so cramped that it was hard to breathe, but even that was better than being out in the cold alone. My mom and dad took turns bringing me food. They walked for miles, fished in icy waters, and then saved the fish they caught for me. When it was time to eat, they would drop these half-digested fish into my mouth. Maybe it doesn't sound very appetizing, but when I was starving, it seemed like the best food in the world. As I grew older, my feathers thickened and I learned to walk. Although, walk is a bit of a pretentious term, it was more of a penguin-style stagger. Moving across the ice without falling was an art in itself, and I was just an apprentice. Every time I fell, the adult penguins around looked at me, as if to say, "Oh, baby, we were just like you." The day I went into the water for the first time was the most exciting and scary day of my life. My body, which was so clumsy on land, was turning into a completely different creature in the water. My flippers were propelling me through the water like an arrow, and my maneuverability was surprising even to me. But this newfound freedom also brought new dangers. Leopard seals, killer whales and giant squids, all looking out for young, inexperienced penguins like me. My first month underwater was like a survival course. With every dive I learned something new. Which fish to go after and which to avoid, how to dive deeper, which way to run when you see a leopard seal. I learned all of these things by experience, sometimes by getting hurt. When I became a young adult, it was time to return to the colony. My instincts were calling me back to my birthplace. The journey back was long and tiring, but when I finally reached the familiar glaciers, I had an indescribable feeling. I was home. Returning to colonial life meant the beginning of my single life. There were lots of potential mates around, all looking for that special someone, like me. Our courtship rituals sometimes led to funny and sometimes dramatic scenes. The sounds I made as I raised my head to the sky, the movements I made as if I were dancing, all in the hope of finding a partner. When I finally found that special penguin, my life took on a new meaning. There were 2 of us now, and soon there would be 3. When it came time to protect the egg, I realized the sacrifice my own father had made all those years ago, standing for hours, days, weeks, keeping the egg warm. This time their roles had changed. I was now a parent. When my chick hatched, I remembered my own birth. Now that little penguin was saying, "Hello," to this challenging world, just like me. As I watched her grow up, my own life story flashed before my eyes like a movie. In every stumble, every fall, every success, I saw my own childhood. Over the years, my body became less agile. My dives were shorter, my hunts less successful. But that didn't make me sad, because I had become a wise penguin. I was guiding the youngsters in the colony, helping them learn from their mistakes. One day, maybe in a storm, maybe during a hunt, maybe just old age, I will close my eyes for the last time. But with the cub I left behind, its cubs and their cubs, this amazing cycle of life will continue, just as it has for millions of years. Being a penguin is not easy, but I did it. I managed to survive in the harshest place on Earth, in the most extreme conditions, to see the age of reproduction, and to raise my own chicks. Maybe my story will end, but the story of the penguins will go on forever. On the glaciers, in the white world of Antarctica, the cries of the penguins, mixed with the sound of wind and waves, will never stop. Thank you very much for watching me. I hope you liked my story very much. To support me, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, write whatever you want in the comments, and press the notification bell for new videos.